morning, YouTube friends. I am getting ready. I've got work and stuff to do, but I thought today I'm going to show you how I use my Project Pan makeup in just like my everyday makeup. I was going to be dressed for this, but it's currently 1 degree and it's very cold, so I don't want to get out of my PJs. So, and also look how awesome these PJs are. Normally I'd be filming my Project Pan check-in, but because I did my last month's one quite late, I haven't seen much progress, so I'm going to give it another week or so. So let's talk Project Pan, but just not my July update. All right, let's start with the step that I don't actually do most days, admittedly. This is the Vitamin Enriched Face Base from Bobbi Brown. I really like it. I've done quite well with it, but to be honest, I don't think I've touched this since my last check-in. And the only reason is because it's winter, it's 1 degree outside, I'm feeling it. And I feel like I'm seeing my skincare, like it's super hydrating. I put a lot of sort of hydrating products on. I think I might even do a video soon about how I keep my skin hydrated in winter, because last year I really struggled with dehydrated skin, and I sort of implemented all these different steps to keep my skin hydrated. And by doing that, it just means that I sort of feel like I've got enough skincare on. So when I get to the primer stage, I sort of don't want to put any more on, but I'm doing it for demonstration purposes, and I do really need to start using this, and it's good to use it in winter. So I'm gonna have to make sure I make more of an effort with this. It is lovely. It feels really nice. A few people ask, like, is it a moisturizer? Is it a primer? I use it as a primer, but what I tend to do is do my skincare, wait a good like 10, 20, 30 minutes, and then do my makeup, sometimes longer. So by the time I put it on, it's sort of like a secondary moisturizer. It won't be for everyone, but if you've got sort of dry or dehydrated skin, it can work really nicely. This has been driving me crazy. This is the Fenty stick, the Eaze Drop Blur and Smooth Tint Stick. I'm nearly done with this, and I'm hoping to have it done by next week when I have my check-in. I've got this little nubbin left. Let's zoom in and see the glory of this little teetering rock on the edge of the cliff. All right, so you can see that it is just like, oh, it's stuck on, but it's right to the base. So I'm nearly done, but I'm really struggling with this product despite using a lot of it. Let's just get a bit closer with my crazy professor hair. So the issue that I have with this, firstly that happens, which I'm not mad. I want it done. So yeah, okay, look, I'll just apply it like this. Let's just roll with it. I love the ease of stick foundation. So when you're doing makeup really quickly, like I'm not kidding you, my kids are at their grandparents' day. So I have the morning free, which is great. But normally when I'm doing my makeup, sometimes I've got a work meeting at like 9:15 and I sit down to do my makeup at like 9:07, and I'm like rushing to be like, ugh, quick. So stick foundations are really good for that instance. The reason why I don't like this one, I actually quite like the effect of it. It is a silicone base, so it can clash with products underneath. I find that most of my skincare and base, like underneath products, are water-based, so you can get that pilling. So that's annoying, but also this just doesn't wear on me. So it looks quite nice, and I like the amount of coverage. Like that's a nice amount of coverage on a daily basis. It's blending quite nicely. You can build it up in areas if you want to. I can just go in and tap it on with the brush. I don't tend to do that because I go in then with my concealer instead. So this is applying quite nicely. It's looking a bit like sort of second skin. So if I turn the brightness down, the sun is coming up. So there's still sort of, you know, a bit of redness and skin coming through. So I do quite like it, but my issue with it is that it just wears off around my nose and the center of my face by the end of the day. So I have these cheeks that are sort of doing okay, but then it sort of just separates and moves. And so it's not a long wearing foundation for me by any means, but it's very quick, very simple. And if you do only have like 5 minutes to do your makeup, like I tend to leave myself, it is enough for things like work meetings and stuff, or riding to the shop, so it's pretty easy. I do go in with my concealer, so this is the Mecca Max concealer. It's going to take me so long to use up because it is quite high coverage, and I don't want that really masky look. I just really like this I slept really well last night because I didn't have the kids with me. But, you know, years of not sleeping the best, you tend to get, you know, dark patches and whatnot. So it's really good at concealing, but you use the smallest amount, which I'm not mad at. Like this concealer is going to last me a year probably, and it's quite nice. So again, not mad at it, but you can see instantly that's just added a lot more coverage. I do prefer to use a bit of a sponge with this one, which I don't currently have on me because you can get a bit of like stippling marks when blending it all in. I use either powder. This is a Laura Geller Double Take Baked powder foundation. It's actually quite a high coverage one. So sometimes what I do if I'm trying to be really fast, I might put a little bit of the stick foundation and then set with this, which adds coverage. It also really sort of locks into place. So I tend to get more longevity out of it than I would if I just used normal powder. And I've hit pan with that. So I have been using that quite a lot, which is good. But I haven't made as much progress on my, this is in the e.l.f. container, but it's a Laura Mercier sort of mix between a matte and a luminous powder. So I'm going to use that today just to get more use out of it. And I grabbed my dirty brush jar today because I was like, look, let's be a bit more accurate with how I actually get ready. I don't use clean brushes every day. I don't want to clean my brushes as often as I would have to if I did that. So I definitely, especially with powder brushes, I will I'll reuse them a few days for sure before I get a new one. The only things I sort of consistently wash are probably sponges. But in saying that, I've got quite a few sponges and I tend to wait until there's like 6 dirty sponges before I wash them all. But yeah, this is the reality of the situation. But this is a very nice powder mix. I'll put the details of everything I'm using in the description box. But yeah, it's a mix between a matte and a glowy one. So you get a bit of luminosity, but you also get that setting sort of blurring effect. It's just a way for me to use up a very, very shiny powder that I wouldn't use on its own otherwise. So that base is looking really good. Probably too good for what I'd normally do, to be fair. What is the time? I've got work in half an hour, so we're gonna make this happen. Since it is winter and the sort of glowy, bronzy face isn't really working for me at the moment, I skip bronzer entirely on a daily basis. And there's 2 sort of blush things that I have in my project pan. One is the Glow Play blush by MAC. This is in the shade That's Peachy. I really want to use this up, and I do use it. It's a beautiful color, but I don't like using putty products every day. And I introduced this Natasha Denona Bloom Blush and Glow palette in my last check-in, and I have been really enjoying it. So it does have 2 cream products behind a flap. If I do use these, I mix them generally. But I really like using this blush, and then sometimes I like using this highlighter by itself, or layered, whatever. So I'm going to go in with, again, a dirty brush that has been using the same product. I do tend to bring it to like the apples of the cheeks a little bit. I don't do the like smile and put your blush just there. But I do want to bring it around there because I really like that sort of shiny cheek effect. I think it's really pretty. It gives a bit of color to the face, a bit of sort of glow to the face. It's a one-step sort of thing, and I just really like the effect. I feel like it can make you look really put together and awake in one sort of really simple step, and that's just, look, it's a blush and it's a highlighter in one. How can I complain? And lately I have been going a little bit heavy-handed with the blush because I've been paring down other features, so I've been making the blush sort of the thing, which you can tell. It's a lot of blush. It will come together. It will come together. So that was just that shade there. I'm not going to delve into this because I think this is plenty of highlighter for my daily. Okay, let's get serious. Let's get our brows on. This is by Benefit. It's the Foolproof brow powder. Again, I'm trying to pan this one. It's in the shade 3. I sort of just, to be fair, this side is really sort of firm, hard to pick up on this little applicator thing. I prefer an angled brush, but I don't have one with me. Do I? I don't know. I don't want to look. I'm just using the applicator. This part gets a bit of hard pan. This lighter part is softer. I tend to mix the two. So I just sort of run along there and mix the two. Inevitably, the light side is going to be worn down faster just because it's softer. But I find that my brows are a bit of a combo of both. If I just use a light one, my brows look a little bit light. If I use the dark one, it tends to look a little bit dark. The good thing about having both though is that if I am going out with quite a lot of makeup, which rarely happens, I do like to have slightly darker brows, so it's good to be able to dip just into the dark shade in that instance. But having the combo is generally what I'd like to do. I did get my brows tattooed, I think about 3 years ago, so I do have some brows there, but I think when I wear makeup, I sort of need to balance out my face with slightly bolder brows, so I do run a powder through it or a pencil through it. But the good thing is the shape's there. I just have to do it really quickly and easily. So brows are no longer a big process, whereas they used to be like, I'd have to actually like shape the brows and like draw them on. It was a big deal. Spoiler, this is the only thing that I have used up this month so far. I'd like to use up another product, probably the foundation stick if I can. This is the Sigma eyeshadow stick, and you can see it's flat. Now, it's not going to stop me. I'm going to get a little bit out with a little spatula, which I just keep in my brush cup. So I'm going to still consider this done. Like, it's flat, it's done. I don't love it enough to really want to dig it out, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to apply it. But if you really love a product, or you want to get like every last usage out of it, look for like makeup spatulas on Amazon or whatever. Just get one, because it can really help you like access quite a lot of lipstick or stick product or whatever it happens to be. I'm just going to dust this on as a base, this is a dirty brush as well, so it's bringing in some eyeshadow color, which is quite pretty actually, but this is, yeah, I'm a grub. It is what it is. I'll wash my brushes. That's really pretty on its own. Again, if I was really rushing with my makeup, that would be all I put on, and then a bit of mascara and off I go. But I really want to show you my custom Too Faced palette. Now, I do have some Rogue eyeshadows. Oh, they just show. I was just going to tell you this. These ones like to fall out, and they just did. So they're back in, they're magnetic, it's fine, but they do tend to just pop out whenever they want. So I'm gonna have to glue those in with lash glue. This is pretty much the row I exclusively use. Sometimes if I'm going out or I know I'm gonna wear a red lip or something, I might go into a brown row, but pretty much it's like often this middle shade or the top shade, and I really like that warm brown. So that's what I do most days, so let's just do it today. So I don't know the shade names of these. They all came from random Too Faced palettes, and I just sort of picked ones that I like the colors of, or I like the formula of. And yeah, I haven't seen any pan or any dents, but I have been really enjoying using this. I'm definitely using the sort of method of just use what you want and hope to see some progress on like the heavily used ones, rather than forcing myself to sort of use every shade at the moment. So I use this shade, which is sort of like the rosiest of the sort of champagne-y shades, and I'm going to use this brown. They actually don't look like they would mix super well, but I actually really love this warm brown, especially for, this is what I'm about to do, my lower lash line. I find that it's just really flattering, and it's just a really beautiful shade of warm brown. Gives like some definition to the eye, without it looking too much, in my opinion. I don't know, I just really like it. So I tend to put this in the outer corner and the lower lash line, just for a bit of a like smoked out effect. And I'm using the same sort of small fluffy brush for both, because this is how I realistically do my makeup. If I wanted to tidy this up a little bit and I found that I was going too high into the brow bone, I could just use a clean brush, or I quite like this sort of peachy matte. It works really well at sort of just blending and sort of working with my skin tone. So that just sort of pulls it back a little bit if I feel like I'm getting a bit too bold. I've got my Rimmel Scandaleyes Kohl Kajal liner in brown. I really like this. I kind of like using it to line my waterline. I just feel like that look suits me more than this look. That kind of just suits my eye shape a bit more. You can do whatever you want. Some people love that sort of white or fleshy line here. I prefer the look of a brown, not necessarily a black, but a brown. This one's super creamy. Doesn't last all day, but for a drugstore one that you can get easily half price, like Chemist Warehouse, I've used so many of these in the past, and it gets to this point where I'm like, oh, this is quite old, I've got to use it up. Then I happily use it up, and I'm like, oh, should I buy another one? That was really fun. And then I just have that in my drawer for 4 years, and then I'm like, oh, actually I should use it up again. It's just the cycle of these pencils, and I think I've had, yeah, about 4 or 5 of these. I really like them, so I tend to waterline and tightline just to add a bit of definition to my lash line. Sometimes I'll use a little bit of a wing, but again, this is more accurate on what I do every day, and that's the extent of it. The non-negotiable for me when it comes to makeup is mascara. Like, no matter what happens and how much time I have, I would bypass all eyeshadows just to put on mascara. So this is by L'Oreal. It's a Telescopic Lift Extra Black. This, when you first get it, is super clumpy and super overloaded on the wand, and it's like you got to scrape it off. But when you get to the point where it does, it's not as wet and clumpy, this is a really great mascara. I really like it. I know there's a lot of controversy around it when it launched because people were doing fake reviews or whatever, or lying in promotions or whatever on TikTok, but it is like, look at that. Like it's no joke. It's a really cool mascara. It's just you have to get through a couple of weeks of scraping off the excess, making sure it's not depositing too much. And then when you get to this level of it's slightly drier, it just grips your lashes and it lifts them, and it just, I don't know, it's stunning. I really like it. I really enjoy using it, and I would buy it again for sure. I would just hate that first few weeks. But worth it. Like, it's so cool. Like, I don't feel like I need winged liner too much because I feel like this has really defined my eyes. Sometimes I'll just do the top, but if I put eyeshadow on the bottom like I have today, I will also take it down the bottom. Just got to be a bit more careful because this does have a lot of mascara on the wand, so you just need to be a little bit careful not to overload, but you can get it done. And this is, I'm going to try to not edit this part out, so you can see exactly how this mascara performs, because it's surprisingly very good. And this one looks bolder, I think, because this is where the sun's coming in, but it's gorgeous. Let's zoom in a bit more. Like, for mascara, just mascara, it's made such a big difference. Let's just put a little bit more there. Yeah, I love it. I think it's so good. So that's definitely a step that I do not skip. And pretty much if I had to do my makeup in less than 5 minutes, I would go a quick base, which I probably wouldn't even bother setting. I'd probably do that when I've got time. A bit of powder in my brows or pencil, mascara, and then like a lip gloss or something. That would be like the 4 things I need. So let's get on to lip territory. I've introduced a lot of lip products in my project pan. I've got a lip oil that does not last. It like lasts for like 10 minutes. You got to reapply. I'm going to burn through that, which is good, but it's also frustrating because it doesn't last. Probably my favorite lip product is this e.l.f. one. This is the Hydrating Core Lip Shine. So it's got this little like hydrating heart core. And this color Happy is such a beautiful color. So it's like my lips but better. And it just gives a little bit of even color. It's like a nice lip balm with it's like a melon, not watermelon, but like general melon scent to it. It's just so pleasant and looks so nice. I love it. I'd totally repurchase this as well. I just wear it. It's just so buttery and smooth and not sticky. Beautiful. This is definitely my favorite lip product. The other ones I sort of want to just use up. This one I included in my project pan because I enjoy using it so much. So I'm like, I'm probably going to make progress on it. So why not just include it? But I don't want to get rid of it. It's really lovely. And luckily I do have quite a lot left. Well, not enough. Oh, just because I want to make progress. This is one that I could potentially use up. Let's use my Smashbox primer water, not as a primer, but as a finishing spray. You can use it as like however you want. And this is in a limited edition air scent, which has this nice sort of like geranium and melon. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to let that sit. I'm going to get dressed and I'll be back. All right, so that's it. That's the final look. Yes, I have brushed my hair, and no, I will not be mad if you can't tell that I have, because my hair is in a perpetual state of messiness, which is fine. But that's exactly how I do my makeup pretty much every day. There might be the odd change where it might be a darker eyeshadow or it might be a darker lip. Whatever, generally it is this. Generally it is this. And I think the highlights by far are the lip product, the mascara, the blush, because it's just so beautiful. It's like highlighter, blush in one. And I really like these sort of basic sort of champagne eyeshadows. I don't know what palette they're from, probably the Sweet Peach. I don't know. Oh, they've come loose again, cheeky buggers. Anyway, I've got to go to work because my meeting is in 5 minutes. So thank you for joining me. I will have a Project Pan update very soon. I just want to sort of make a little bit more progress. And thank you to my beautiful members for supporting this channel. Your names are on the screen and I greatly appreciate you. Mwah! Have a beautiful day. Bye.